if there's someone who's very far right or someone who's very far left that wants to listen to us, I mean, that's fine. We try not to, even though we're very anti-socialist. You know, we're not like, oh, these people are all evil and they want to just destroy everyone, blah blah
I
blah. We
think
always
your
try to get
content is
into,
already
you know,
appealing to far-right
we're
people. Like Sargon of
excuse
Akkad was in your
our
audience.
have you ever listened to a single time Carl has been on our show? I don't think there's been a single time Carl's ever come on our show that hasn't been us arguing about something like pretty angrily for 3 hours about some random topic.
I
So
doubt that, but I'm saying that like he's amenable enough to your like content, and do you really just think it's because you're like nice to conservatives, or
Is Destiny a white nationalist because he's talked to Nick Fuentes?
I don't think you just stumbled into like a right-wing audience. Like the choices that you make with regards to like the topics that you cover are necessarily going to court that audience. Wouldn't you agree?
Not necessarily, because I mean, like I said, I think we've been wrongly mischaracterized, and right-wingers have come to our audience, not, thinking we were a right-wing podcast, but then they stick around because we're sensitive to not calling them retards all day long. So I think that makes them stick around.
Just to be clear, Aaron is probably more of a woke progressive than Josiah, so I apologize.
Even more than that, Cherry. Don't underplay it.
Well,
don't downplay it.
Well, you should come on our show.
Yeah, you all brace yourselves. Brace yourselves. Yeah.
Look, we love.
I guess I just see it like, Adam, how are you not contributing to that polarization then? Just you're already saying that just naturally, like even if I grant you that organically you've noticed that you have attracted a right-wing audience by virtue of like your messaging, what you've covered and all of that, you're like, well, I've just happened to attract that because that's what I cover. Then like kind of naturally the same thing will happen with like liberal or left-leaning pundits also,
Look, it depends
like
upon why
they don't even
they're
have to vilify the other side. You're going to attract people that kind of already agree with you,
Well, I don't think the issue is attracting the audience, because last time we did a poll, I think it was something like 60% of our audience identified as right-wing and 40% left-wing, or something to that effect. And attracting the audience isn't the problem. I think, people generally say that YouTubers radicalize their audience, and I think it's the opposite. I think the audience radicalizes the YouTubers. And what happens is once they attract these audiences, they start to basically lean into it more and more and more to grow larger and larger and larger.
Audience capture. Yeah.
Right, the audience capture. And I think that's what kind of radicalizes people. Because it seems like when you look at most of these pundits, when you go back to their older stuff, everyone kind of starts off significantly more moderate and then kind of becomes more extreme over time. And I don't think that's just a coincidence. And so for us, we do have a lot of right-wingers watch us because we're very anti-woke. Though when we talk about it, I mean, we always try to talk about it, and I'm always very careful to talk about it in terms of saying this is not the left broadly, this is a specific thing, what is it, how is it anti-liberal, and we need to go back to liberal values that both the left and the right existed in America, for hundreds of years.
Well, why do you feel like it's incumbent upon liberal and left-leaning commenters to appeal to conservatives, but you don't seem to be interested in appealing to like socialists or people who are moving further away from like liberalism to progressivism and like further left?
Because, well, I mean, it's an interesting question. I'm just not interested in I consider those very extreme positions. I'm not sure I'm going to be very persuasive to them, and I'm kind of not interested in trying to persuade them. I mean, I'm not saying no one has to do anything they don't want to do.
Well, and I want to follow up on Aaron's question when she's done.
I think like you're outlining why, if you're asking like why is it that all of these like liberal and left-leaning commentators are becoming further radicalized and stuff like that, is because things are polarized enough that they don't actually feel that there's any point in reaching out to the other side because they don't even feel like they're amenable to them. So they just pander to their audience, and then it just becomes a negative feedback loop, and the audiences play off the creator plays off the audience, and both are getting, further dug into their side. Because you've already admitted like, well, I don't like, what's the point of reaching out to them because they just believe whatever they want to believe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying, like, we're not reaching out to the very far right either. I mean, if there's someone who's very far right or someone who's very far left that wants to listen to us, I mean, that's fine. We try not to, even though we're very anti-socialist, we're not like, oh, these people are all evil and they want to just destroy everyone, blah, blah, blah.
I think your content is already appealing to far right people. Like Sargon of Akkad was in your audience.
Have you ever listened to a single time Carl has been on our show?
Yeah, all we do is debate him the whole time.
I listened to your conversation with Anna Kasparian, and I saw that he was in the chat.
I don't think there's been a single time Carl's ever come on our show that hasn't been us arguing about something like
I'm just
pretty
I don't even
angrily for
I don't
3
even
hours about some random topic.
I
So
doubt that, but I'm saying that like he's amenable enough to your like content. And do you really just think it's because you're like nice to conservatives or
well,
Is
no,
it
it's because we're
first of
again
all
because
is
we're
first of all
'cause
is
we
it a
well,
knock
I
that
think it,
we've
number one, wait, number one,
Go.
I think it is that. Number two, I think it's because we do talk a lot about trying to criticize woke stuff, which
It
obviously he likes, and obviously people on the right like, even if they're further right than we are.
is Destiny a white nationalist because he's talked to Nick Fuentes?
I never said that
Yes.
you were a white
Well, I'm just asking
that
because
you
you're
guys
the
were
imp.
like far
Look,
right or whatever
Cherry
because
was waiting for
you
that.
said that you don't pander, you don't attract people who are far right in your audience, and I gave you an example of somebody who was in your audience who is far right,
No, no,
and watching
well,
to you
first of
in
all,
spite of the fact that you find that you're closer to the center.
well, I
so
just want
first
to
of
make
all,
it clear.
I don't
Yeah.
want to throw. I don't know how Carl, even though we basically argue whenever he comes on, I'm not going to throw the far right label because I don't know what the implications of that mean when you say it. Okay, I don't think
I
Carl,
mean,
to
he
my
ran
knowledge,
with the
I don't
UKIP
think,
party, right? When he
to
tried
my
to have like a
knowledge,
political career.
to my knowledge, I do not believe that Carl is a white nationalist or anything or racist or anything like that. Okay, number one. Number two, I didn't say that we don't have people that are far right that watch us. I'm saying we're not reaching out to extremists on either side. We're not Daryl Davis. We're not trying to like turn everyone over this. I was just addressing your question about that specific thing when you said, well, why aren't you trying to turn socialists over to your side?
Well, and on that subject, I am curious because, again, I've watched some of your content. Like, I've watched the Kyle Kalinski's Crystal Ball one. I've watched, I think you had one with President Sunday. I watched that. Rob Noor, I watched some of that. So I didn't know that, but I don't watch the stream, so I didn't know that you guys were like a comedy show. I thought it was virtually exclusively political
I'm gonna be
commentary.
honest,
Very-
I didn't know that either.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cherry was joking. That's
Oh, she was
okay,
fucking.
okay,
Oh,
okay.
god damn it,
It's
Cherry. Well
it's
done.
one of the memes of their shows. Sorry.
Gotcha.
thank you, Cherry.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So
You're welcome.
let me ask you, what is? I assume you all would consider yourself like you're not just journalists, right? So you have an opinion, you have a stance, you're trying to persuade people.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. So you describe yourselves as centrists. I've gotten different answers if it's right wing centrist or left wing centrist, but you're centrist. You have an audience that you say in terms of self-identification is at least 60% right wing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your goal with them? Are you trying to reinforce their views? Or if you are left-leaning centrist, are you trying to get them closer to the left? I'd like to know what your goals
Well,
are and
according
how
to-
you go about it.
According to Destiny, they're all retarded. So why would we want to reinforce that? Obviously, we're trying to win them over to our perspective. So, but
And your
I'm
perspective.
look, I'm only kidding about the retard thing. I think there is a giant miscommunication that goes on between progressives and conservatives. I view conservatives as kind of the defense of society, and I view progressives as kind of the offense. And we need to have this like yin and yang political process to kind of develop new policies. We can't stagnate, and we can't change things willy-nilly without risking society. So I do think the two work together or should work together. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.